Shalom Israel. We are the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under the commanding General Yohana. We're bringing this truth since 1969. And that truth is that the so-called blacks, the so-called Hispanics, the so-called Native Indian are the true Jews of the Bible, and the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of.
Right.
Tonight is what? It's Tuesday, and is what? It's Brotherhood class. And this is the most important thing that our community is missing right now is brotherhood. You know what I mean? And what do we always say? Brotherhood is synonymous with what? Sisterhood.
Right.
Sisters, everything that we speaking about the brothers, we speaking about the sisters too. It's all about us coming together. The Bible tells us what? It says, Zephaniah 2:1 says what? Gather yourselves together. When it says gather yourselves together, it just doesn't mean just the men. But it means the men, women, and the children. We all have to come together because what? We are all what?
Brothers.
We are all one nation. We are all brothers and sisters. And when the Most High tells us to gather together, He tells us to gather together because He wants us to come out of something. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And when He wants us to come, what does He want us to come out of? Somebody tell me that. What does the Most High want us to come out of?
Come out the world.
Exactly that.
Come out of the customs of the other nations.
Come out of the customs of the other nations. What you got? What would you want to say?
I don't think.
You can't get it wrong.
I'm cool.
You cool? You think you cool? You cool very much. Anyway, but that's right, exactly right. You know, He wants us to come out of the world. He wants us to come from amongst the heathen nations. He wants us to come out of those customs and cultures of the other nation. And that's a problem that plagues us as the nation of Israel is when we move, when we are amongst people from other nations, we get comfortable in their customs and culture. We get comfortable so much so that we begin to have an affection and a love for the other nations. When you begin to have an affection and a love for the other nations, what happens? Does somebody tell me what happens?
You start to forget about your own.
Let's sis.
Salak.
Go ahead, sis.
We actually get entangled into the myths and the things they do that we're not supposed to do that's not in the Bible.
That's true. What you got? What you got? Not so. I'm coming to you.
What was the question?
I said once we get comfortable living amongst the other nations, you know, what does it do to us? Basically, what does it do to us? Once we get comfortable and we begin to live amongst the other nations, what does it do?
It makes us not have passion for our nation.
Exactly. What you got?
Turns you away from the Most High.
Turns you away from the Most High. All three of those answers are correct. And all three of those answers are the answer to the things that plague us today. You understand what I'm saying? And most importantly is it turns us away from the Most High. It turns us away from the Most High because what? We forget about our brothers and sisters. When we think about this, right? Let's take Oprah Winfrey as an example, right? Oprah Winfrey is comfortable amongst the other nations. She's comfortable so much so that she believes herself to be elite amongst the other nations. When in fact, she is the lowest. She is lower than the lowest in their nation. Regardless of how high you are, you can never be amongst the lowest of another people's nation. You understand what I'm saying? In fact, as a tribe of Israel, we put other nations among us or above us, so to speak. When I say that, we look at people from other nations when they aspire higher than a lot of other people, we put them higher than ourselves. And then we begin to worship them. And then we begin to look up to them. And when we begin to look up to them, we look down on our own. You understand what I'm saying? I was watching CNN the other night, and I couldn't believe that they actually had black people at that Trump rally. And I'm talking about a whole section. And they was out there partying like it was 1999, you feel me? And I mean, they had their cameras going, they was in the aisles dancing and everything with the Make America Great hats on. You understand what I'm saying? They look at the other nation as they put the other nation so high on a pedestal that they look down on their own. And I was like I was saying, with the same thing with Oprah Winfrey. You understand what I'm saying? She has aspired so high amongst the other nations, and not amongst them, but they have placed her in a place that puts her higher than us, but lower than them. She feels like she's one of them, so much so that she went and built a school in a whole nother country.
Right.
When the people from her city are suffering. The schools that she come from in Chicago are suffering. When she was here for decades in Baltimore. The schools here in Baltimore and our people are suffering. You understand what I'm saying? And when you put yourself, or when you feel like you are so high amongst the other nations, you begin to look down on your other people. You all right, brother?
Yeah.
What you need? We begin to look at ourselves as being amongst the elite. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
And when we look at ourselves as being amongst the elite, we begin, especially, I'm speaking of the elite of the other nations, we look down on our own people. You understand? It's the reason why the Most High tells us what Zephaniah 2:1, which is what we started off with. It says what?
Gather yourself.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. We can't understand that regardless of how they take you in or how they say out of their mouths how they feel about you, you are a nation of people who are not desired. We are not desired amongst these other nations, and they show it. They show us this continually. You understand what I'm saying? We have been showed this continually. I mean, think about it, right? You had George Floyd get murdered 3 weeks ago, right?
Right.
And then you turn around and a week later, after that, you have Rashard Brooks get killed almost in the same fashion. Man puts his foot on his back, kicks him while he's down. He's already dying, and then he kicks him and puts his foot on his back. I mean, how insensitive can you get?
Right.
George Floyd, already handcuffed. They handcuffed him. They took him into custody, handcuffed him, laid him on the ground, then after he's handcuffed, then you put your knee in the side of his neck. How insensitive can you be? We are a nation of people that are not desired. But we continue to look for these people to show us some kind of love. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
When, in fact, they have no love for us. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Let's go to a scripture, right? Let's go to Micah 4:11. And in Micah 4:11, the most important part is the beginning part of Micah 4:11, which is really what I want to bring out. Micah chapter 4, verse 11. Somebody grab that.
Got it.
Hey, somebody grab the Bible here. I need somebody. Hey, give him one, too. Grab it. Where's the other Bible?
I got it.
There you go, there we go.
Ready?
Got it?
Yeah. Micah chapter 4, verse 11. Now also many nations are gathered against thee.
It says, now also many nations are gathered against thee. This is a perfect example right here. There are many nations gathered against thee. What does that mean, they are gathered against thee? They have come together to come up against us.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? There are many nations gathered against thee. This is the reason why the Most High said in Zephaniah 2:1, gather yourselves together. If they're going to gather against us, we need to gather ourselves together. This is a prime example right here of why we are being destroyed, because we refuse to gather together. We refuse to come together. You understand what I'm saying? We don't realize the strength that we already have in the Most High.
Right.
You understand? When we gather, it says what? Where there are two or more gathered, there I am, right?
Right.
I'm just paraphrasing that, which means when we bring ourselves together, we have the power of the Most High with us. You understand what I'm saying? We have the power of the Most High with us. Go ahead, finish that.
That say, let her be defiled.
It says that say, let her be defiled. Listen, because we live in amongst these other nations, because we participate in their Memorial Day, because we participate in their 4th of July, we are defiling ourselves. We are celebrating holidays that the Most High have already told us that we should not celebrate, we should not partake in. You understand what I'm saying? The 4th of July is coming up. And what did T.I. say? What did T.I. say a couple weeks ago? After the George Floyd thing. He said what? We're going to protest by not celebrating the 4th of July. But he said we're going to not celebrate the 4th of July on what day? Either the 5th or the 6th, but not the 4th.
What?
Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? You see how so wrapped up we are in the other nations? You see how we so caught up in the customs and culture of this nation that even when we set out to protest and to stand up and to not celebrate, we end up celebrating anyway. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We end up celebrating anyway because we have no strength in our so-called leadership. You understand what I'm saying? What does that scripture say that about the leadership? Out the gates, what's it say?
Okay.
Jeremiah 14:2.
All right.
It says, Judah mourneth,
Gates
the gates thereof languish. Our gates are languished. Our gates are destroyed. We have no strength. We have no gatekeepers.
Right.
So to speak, I'm not speaking about the Isupk. I'm talking about the people. The people that are not in it. We have leadership. We have strong leadership in the Isupk. You understand what I'm saying? But as far as the black leadership that our people are following, that most of our people are following, we do not have any leadership among them at all. This is the reason why we go out on the streets and we tell our people to come back to the Most High, to get into this Isupk, get up under the commanding General Yohana, get into these scriptures and find out your true heritage and your history. The problem is our people don't know their true history. You understand? We don't know where we come from. We don't know where our strength lies. Our strength lies in the Most High. And because we don't understand that our strength lies in the Most High, this is why we are continually destroyed. Think about this. If George Floyd and his family had been following the Isupk, it's a good possibility George Floyd could be alive today. It's a good chance that Rashard Brooks could be alive today. It's a good chance that Tamir Rice could could be alive today. You understand what I'm saying? Alton Sterling could be alive today. All of those brothers and sisters that were brutally murdered. What's the female that just got murdered in her house while she was asleep? Something Taylor? Breonna Taylor. She could possibly be alive today. Think about if we had gathered ourselves together and been living in our own community and been policing our own community. These devils would never be able to come into our community and bust into somebody's house and kill innocent people.
Right.
Which is what they always do. You understand what I'm saying? A lot of the roadside murders would never happen. A lot of them running into our communities, just shooting randomly at people would never happen. Did you see the clip in New York when the police were shooting the rubber bullets at the kids?
No.
Because they were out past the curfew?
Yeah,
Yeah, they did a drive-by. They acting like they're doing a drive-by and just shooting the rubber bullets at the kids out the cover.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yes. But
I thought it was like, I mean, they was letting off.
yeah, they were shooting rubber bullets at them. But my whole point is things like that would not happen if we had gathered ourselves together. We'd be policing ourselves. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. Think about this, and think about this. How terrified are those kids of police right now today? After that incident, how terrified are those kids of police now?
Let me answer.
Petrified.
Petrified.
You understand what I'm saying? Because those were just rubber bullets. We know police officers use real bullets all the time.
Right. And if I can add, like, I ain't even teach my...
Get that microphone. Or just speak up so they can hear you. They should be able to hear you. No. The speaker's right there.
Okay.
They should be able to hear you. Just speak up.
Now, I was saying, like, you know, little kids are terrified of, you know, police right now. My daughter right now, I ain't even teach her, but she is terrified of police just by watching TV. And she's 10 years old.
Just by watching TV, right?
Yeah.
Think about what they said with Captain Tazariak did a lecture, and a woman talked about how PTS, post-traumatic stress disorder, comes in people that have been in combat. Well, she said that also transfers over to us from the slave trade, and also what we're going through today. You understand?
Right.
The way our people are being destroyed today.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Our people are being destroyed, and all of that is turning over into PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's falling on our children. So now we wondering, how are our children? How are our children?
Somebody locked the door.
Say it again.
Somebody locked the door down.
Okay, all right, go ahead. How are our children? How are our children being destroyed? And having these post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. You understand? Because it's being handed down. And then when they come into this world, especially right now, and seeing what's going on now and how now you getting views and videos and all of this footage of black men and women and children being murdered right on camera. Right? They're showing it to you. And let me ask a question. What are they not showing? What are they not showing? Can you tell me what they're not showing?
About what? About what?
About murders. What are they not showing? They're showing black people being murdered, but what are they not showing? They're not showing their people being murdered. They're not showing white people being murdered. Why would they stress their people out like that? Why would they throw that and thrust that upon their people? When white people see white people killing black people, what does that do? that empowers white people. When black people see white people killing white people, when black people see white people killing black people, and then they see white people getting off, what does that do to us?
Perfect.
That destroys and puts fear into our people. PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. You understand? This is the reason why the Most High tells us to gather ourselves together. Because when we gather ourselves together, we are stronger together. You understand what I'm saying? You are stronger people together. This is the reason why he's telling you, we already know that these people are against you. So what I want you to do is come together so you can be strengthened. Strength is in numbers. Strength is in a family. We are a family. So-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we are a family. We have to come together. Switch seats. Switch seats. Thank you. You understand what I'm saying, sister? You got that, Drake?
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
I ain't going over your head, Emma. Let me know if my word too big.
I got you.
All right, yeah. You feel me? But this is the reason why they're telling us to gather ourselves together. So let's go to, we can grab a scripture. I want to grab, let's go to Jeremiah 14:2. Grab another Bible. Now, Wolf, you can switch with him back. There you go. You got one?
Yeah.
Okay, you already got one. Yeah. Now, we already got one. Just drop it on the seat right there. Got that?
Come.
What other second verse?
Go ahead.
Jeremiah chapter 14, verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up.
It says Judah mourning. What does that mean, Judah mourning? Judah mourning. Somebody tell me that? What does that mean?
Judah, that means, Judah mourning means they are oppressed, sad.
They are sad.
Yeah.
Judah, they are hurting. They are sad.
Right.
They are mourning. Let me ask a question. It says Judah mourning. Is that so-called Jewish man? So-called Jewish man? Is he mourning?
No, it's not.
So he could not be Judah, right?
Couldn't be Judah.
Who is mourning?
Black.
Today, who is mourning? Who?
The Negroes.
Exactly. Negroes and what else? So-called Negroes, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. We are mourning. We are in mourning right now. That so-called Jewish man could not be Judah because he is not in mourning. As a matter of fact, he is as comfortable as it gets.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So he could not be one of the 12 tribes of Israel.
Right.
Because he is definitely not in mourning. It says Judah mourning and the gates thereof languish. What does it mean when it says the gates thereof languish? Who are the gates? What are the gates?
People charged with protecting them.
Exactly. The people charged with protecting us. Who is charged with protecting us for watching over us?
Al Sharp.
Our so-called leaders or religious figures.
Religious figures. Even our politicians are charged with watching over us. They're supposed to be they supposed to be, and I say that in quotes, looking out for our best interests when it comes to laws being made, laws being passed, things being done for us in our communities, right?
Right.
But it says what? And the gates thereof languish. What does that mean? The gates thereof languish.
That means those same people charged with protecting us are not doing a good job.
Not doing a good job at all. Exactly. We have no protection. You understand what I'm saying? When a man can come in, when an oppressor can come in and put his neck on George Floyd's neck and literally kill him on camera. Literally kill him on camera. And if I'm not mistaken, that should have been a first-degree murder. Right? And I'm saying it should have been a first-degree murder because he had an intent to kill. When people tell you you're killing him, he's bleeding, he's not breathing, and you continually keep your knee on his neck until paramedics get there, and then you still have your knee on his neck while they taking his pulse. That should be first-degree murder. And guess what? He's out on bail.
Damn. Yeah.
He out on bail.
There's other cops who got charged with it too.
Yeah, other cops are out too. You understand what I'm saying? It says, in the gates thereof languish. We have no protection. Nobody watches out for our best interest. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody watches out for us. This is the reason why the ISUPK is here.
Right.
You understand? Under the command of General Yohana.
Right.
We are here to protect our family. But we can't protect our family if you don't come up under this covering.
Right.
You understand? This is the place that will cover you. This is the place that will protect you. This is the place that will look out for you when things get rough. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
It says, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. What does that mean when it says the cry of Jerusalem is gone up? What does that mean? Somebody give me an answer on that? It means they in sorrow. But it says the cries of Jerusalem are gone up. What does that mean?
It's going upon the Most High.
When you see those mothers on camera and you see them crying, when you see those sisters and brothers on camera and you see those mothers crying, you see those fathers crying because their children are being brutally murdered in the street, those are the cries that are gone up. Those are the cries of Jerusalem that are gone up. Those cries are not going unheard either. But the Most High tells us what? He tells us to come together. The reason why we are being utterly destroyed because we keep trusting in our enemy. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
When you keep trusting in an enemy, it is inevitable that an enemy is going to destroy you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? It is inevitable. That's like a sheep going to play in the midst of wolves. You understand what I'm saying? What are the chances that sheep is going to come out alive? None at all. You understand what I'm saying? There are no chances. Chances are slim to none. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what we are. We are sheep amongst wolves. In the Bible, what does it call us? It calls us sheep. Christ calls us his sheep, right? My sheep hear my voice. You understand what I'm saying? We refuse to hear the words of the Most High.
Right.
And because we refuse to hear the words of the Most High, we continually are destroyed. Because the gates thereof languish, because we put our faith in our so-called leaders. This is why we are continually destroyed. Think about this, right? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians were emancipated in 1863. The word didn't get to the South until 1865, till after the Civil War was over, right? 1865, they so-called had a right to vote. Really wasn't. They were being oppressed with that, right? It wasn't until 1965 that they had the full-fledged rights to vote. So from 1965 all the way up until 2020, which has been what, over 55 years, about 55 years or so like that, right? From this time to that time, what has changed with our situation? We all know technology has changed, right?
Yes.
But with our situation, what has changed? Think about it. In 1865, black men were still being murdered and lynched. In 1965, black men were still being murdered and lynched. In 2020, black men are still being murdered and lynched. Somebody tell me what has changed. What has voting changed?
They exchanged the slavery system for the penal system.
The slavery system for the penal system. But voting has gotten us nowhere. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And we keep putting our faith in voting. Voting will get you nowhere. You understand what I'm saying? When you have your own, when you gather yourselves together. Listen, check this out, right? In the Bible, it tells us what? Christ says what? The kingdom of heaven is at hand. What does that mean? Somebody tell me, what does the kingdom of heaven is? Somebody pull that scripture. Pull that scripture. Give me that Matthew 10 and 7.
Slide.
You got that?
Come on.
Go ahead, read it for me, brother.
Matthew chapter 10, verse 7. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand.
Those words are in red, right?
Come.
Words in red. That's Christ speaking to who? His disciples. He's saying, go up, and he says, and as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. When he says the kingdom of heaven is at hand, what does that mean?
It's near.
It's near, right? How near? How near? Somebody tell me how near. Because you're right with that.
Just we're in that time right now.
Listen, I'm going to show you how near. If we gather ourselves together, we'd be in the kingdom. Listen, if we gathered ourselves together, we'd be in the kingdom. If we brought our money together, we'd be in the kingdom. If we were all up under this Isupk, hand in hand, we'd be in the kingdom. If we put our resources together and do what Commanding General Yohana is doing right now, getting that land, putting these things together, we'd already be in the kingdom of heaven. If our people would gather together right under this Isupk, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, under the Commanding General Yohana, we'd be in the kingdom. Why would we be in the kingdom? Because first, we'd have our resources, right? We'd have our own land, right? We'd have our own policing department. You understand what I'm saying? We'd be policing ourselves. We'd be in the kingdom. We'd have our own businesses. We'd have our own schools. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. Listen, we say this damn near every week, right? The American 70% of the American economy is built off the consumer. Who is the consumer? We are the consumer. If 70% of the American economy is the consumer, that means we have the power. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. We have the means right here. They had the means back then.
Right.
He was telling them then. Christ said, go ye and preach. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. When you gather yourself together and you bring your stuff, everything that you got together and spread it amongst your brothers and sisters and put it to something good, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. There's nothing else to be said. You understand what I'm saying? But everybody else wants to do what? They want to start a business, and then they want to include who? The oppressor. Somebody from another nation. You want to do business with other. It's not anything wrong with doing business, but when you go into business with a heathen or someone from another nation, you cannot do anything for the people from your nation. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm gonna give you an example. That D League that Ice Cube started, that D League that he started, you seen that?
The big three.
The big three? You seen that? He linked up with a Jewish man with that. A so-called Jew. A so-called Jewish man.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
It's going to.
He tied with a so-called Jewish man. So how much can he do for his people? You understand what I'm saying? How much can you do with your people when you link with the oppressor?
Right.
The very people that's oppressing us right now. What can you really do? So he came on the other day and he said something about the Jewish people, right? So I want to see where this goes.
What did he say?
Well, I mean, they not the real Jew.
He said it?
And he said some other stuff. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying? He did a whole lot of comments. They wrote a whole article. It was a whole article. As a matter of fact, we in General Kubalamoff class 2 weeks ago, we went over the whole article. You understand what I'm saying?
Damn. It's rough.
He said he didn't care, you know what I mean? He don't care. He said he's telling the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Not everybody would do that. And I'm not bigging them up to a point where, you know, like that.
Right.
But it's not very many people on the level that he's on that would do that. You know what I'm saying? That would sacrifice what they have to do that, or say that, or speak up. You understand what I'm saying? I'm gonna big them up to that point.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we gonna see where it goes. But, you know, it says the kingdom of heaven is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is at hand, meaning that if we come together, we would be the power. Listen, think about it. If we come up under these laws, statutes, and commandments, these laws, statutes, and commandments is the thing that will bring us back together.
Right.
You understand? And being under the law, statutes, and commandments, it tells us in the Bible that if we come back under these laws, statutes, and commandments, we will be the head and they will be the tail. Right now, they are the head and we are the tail. And to me, and to a lot of us, it seems like a lot of our people are comfortable with being the tail. You understand what I'm saying? It seems that they are comfortable with being the tail. How comfortable can you? How long can you be comfortable with being the ass? You understand what I'm saying? At some point in time, I want to leave. I want to be the head. I'm tired of being the ass. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it ain't comfortable when you get kicked. You understand? It's not comfortable at all. You know? But let me ask a question, right? And we did this one some months ago. I asked this question some months ago. I'm gonna see if some people can remember this, right? we had one glimmer glistening of hope at a particular time in the 20th century that our people showed their true power. What time was that? And I know now war got it, so I'm gonna skip over now war today. What you got, sis?
I wanted to say, when we got our first black president,
Say that again.
when we got our first black president,
Who was the first black president?
Obama.
Jeez, that's an African.
Yeah,
He's African. He ain't do nothing for us. I'm saying when we had a glimmer of hope. When I say a glimmer, think about this, right? Barack Obama is an African, right? But even if we knock the African out, let's just say, if he was a Negro, right? What did he do for us? He did nothing for us, right? So there was no glimmer. There was no glimmer of hope. He did nothing for us. He did everything for the LGBT. He did everything for homosexuals. He did everything to move in on the African nations to take their resources. He made amends in ways for America to get into Africa to further drain them of what they had. But he did nothing for the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians of America. Okay? And then a lot of our people say what? He gave us health care. He didn't give black people health care. He gave America health care. That wasn't for just black people. You understand what I'm saying? He did that for everybody. So that he didn't do anything for us. You understand what I'm saying?
It's like it, sir.
I'm going to let you answer that.
I would even debate that he gave us health care. You really, if you've ever actually been on that system, you know that although you're signed up, so technically you're on the rolls have health care, but
Right.
you don't see what those premiums cost.
Right.
You don't
But
have
he didn't
health care.
give us, but what I'm saying is that's what he did. You understand what I'm saying? He didn't do anything for black people. Now, war, I'm going to let you answer it.
So like I said, I would say the bus boycott.
There you go. What year was that? That was December the 5th, 1955. That was the Alabama bus boycott. And it went a whole year. It went to December the 20th, 1956. Lasted 1 year. What happened? What happened at that bus boycott?
No Negro would ride the bus at that particular time, and it pretty much crippled the whole bus system.
Exactly. And not only did it happen in Alabama, but it happened in a couple of different cities around the country. A lot of different cities around the country boycotted, right? That one instant showed the power that we actually had. And think about it, right? That showed the power and the weakness of their economy. That showed that their economy was strictly built on us because nobody else was actually riding the bus. But then when we get on the bus, you make us go straight to the back. Or if we were sitting in our half of the front, and then, because remember, you still had to sit from here to the back of the bus. So the front of the bus for you was right here. So if a white person didn't have a seat in their part of the bus, you, being in the front of your part of the bus, had to get up and give them your seat. Rosa Parks wasn't actually sitting in the front of the bus. She was sitting at the front part of her part of the bus. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
She wasn't sitting at the front of the bus. She was sitting at the front part of our part of the bus. That's the reason why she could refuse to get up. You understand what I'm saying? So now, let me ask you this. What should they have done? Now I'm gonna answer it again. I'm gonna hold you off. I'm gonna hold you out. I'm gonna hold you out now, War, because I think now War be remembering stuff. Hey, You got an answer for me?
You said what should they have done?
What should they have done?
They should have kept up with the carpool. They shouldn't have not got back on that bus.
True.
And they should have.
Something else?
They should have carpooled enough so they can build their own bus company.
Ah, my man. That's what's up. That's what they should have done. And think exactly what you just said, right? They should have started their own bus system.
Right.
They should have started their own bus system. Now, there was a bus company in South Carolina, a black bus company in South Carolina. When the bus boycott started, this bus company in South Carolina was jumping. So when the laws got passed for blacks to sit at the front part of the white buses, this bus system faded out because now everybody wanted to ride at the front of the buses, of the white buses. So who made out? Who made out?
Our person.
Our oppressor. Because we can't think past go. You understand what I'm saying? There was a glimmer of hope when you boycotted the bus system, but Martin Luther King should have been fighting to start his own bus system instead of fighting to ride on the front of white buses. He should have been fighting to start our own restaurants instead of sitting in at white restaurants to eat at the counter with white people. Why would you want to eat at a counter of a person who has to go in the back and fix your food and they don't want to fix your food? Why would you want to give them, you forcing them to take your money only for them to go in the back and spit in your food and give it to you? You understand what I'm saying? Why would you want that? Who wants to, we talked about that last week or the week before, like I forgot where Cap and all of us were going, but we walked into this little restaurant spot and all these white people were in there, but they had a buffet. Food was supposed to be sitting out right there. But I guess we might have gotten there early, but they said, oh, well, she'll cook your food up in the back. And we looked at all of them white people and we was like, nah, that's okay. We rolled out. You understand what I'm saying? Because these were straight rednecks. I didn't want nobody cooking my food in the back where I can't see them and they bring me anything out. You understand? And we all had the same sentiments on our faces. So we all looked at each other and was like, nah, we out. Boom, and rolled out at the same time. There was about 6 or 7 of us. You understand what I'm saying? But my whole point is he had enough power to make them boycott certain things, but didn't have he had the smarts, right? But Martin Luther King loved white people so much that he wanted to eat amongst them. He wanted to rub elbows with them. Instead of separating, he wanted to be with them. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what destroyed us. Martin Luther King totally destroyed our people. To this day, people live and die by Martin Luther King and nonviolence. I can't believe you can hear people get up after this white man destroyed George Floyd, and you gonna say we gotta be nonviolent. We gotta preach love. We can't preach hate. The Bible preaches hate, right? The Bible says what? What's the scripture? Give me Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. Give me Ecclesiastes. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 3 and 1.
It's like, sir.
You got it?
Hold
Hold on, let me grab it. Your finger's faster than mine. Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. All right. You got that, sis? Yeah, let sis get it. Hey, Dre. Yeah. Go to Ecclesiastes 3 and 1. you got it, sis. You got it? You got it, Dre? Ecclesiastes. Chapter 3, verse 1. That's it. Go ahead now, boy.
Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. To everything there is a season.
It says to everything there's a season. Listen, it's a season for everything. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that happens, it's a time for it. That's what that means when it says there's a season for everything. Anything that happens, it's the time for it. You understand? Go ahead.
And a time to every purpose under the heaven.
A time for every purpose under the heaven. Go ahead.
A time to be born and a time to die.
Yep.
A time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to break down and a time to build up.
It says a time to break down and a time to build up. It says a time to kill and a time to heal. There is a time to kill and a time to heal. And the Most High will let us know when the time to kill comes.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, finish that.
A time to weep and a time to laugh.
Listen, it's a time to weep. And one thing that this Christian church has us to believe is that when a family member dies, you're supposed to be happy. You got to be partying. You got to be joyous. It is a time to weep. In the Bible, when people die in the Bible, you see the people in the Bible mourning. We are the only people on earth who are taught to party and be happy when our loved ones die. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
We are the only people on the earth. Even the heathens mourn when their people die. In the Bible, it tells you Christ, when Lazarus died, Christ mourned. You understand what I'm saying? That's throughout the Bible, but we are the only people who have been taught not to mourn your loved ones when they die. I've been in a lot of Christian church where they be in there partying.
Mm-hmm.
And the body's sitting right up there, and nobody crying. You understand what I'm saying? Then you get them home, and a couple of weeks later, they go zapped out and crazy. Because they didn't mourn at the time when they should have been mourning. Our oppressor refused to let us mourn when our people died. Now it's postpartum syndrome. We have been bred to believe that we are supposed to be happy when our loved ones die. This is the reason why we sit up here and say what? Well, they in a better place now. They up in heaven dancing with God now. All of that dumb mumbo jumbo. You understand what I'm saying? This is the reason why we believe that, because we've been taught that by our oppressor. Go ahead, finish.
Let's see. A time to weep and a time to laugh. A time to mourn and a time to dance.
This is a time to mourn and a time to dance. You hear that? There is a time to mourn. When your loved ones die, you are supposed to be mourning. But that's the things that we don't do. You understand what I'm saying? We don't mourn when it's time, when it's our time. Where was we at? What was I looking for? Where was it? I got lost.
You want Ecclesiastes 3 and 1.
No, I know that, but I got so caught up in that, I forgot what was my point.
We was talking about morning and stuff.
Was I talking about morning? Okay, there we go. You understand what I'm saying? There is a time to mourn. You understand what I'm saying? It is a time to mourn, but we are the only people on the face of the earth that are taught you're supposed to be happy when your loved ones die. And I've been in so many churches where they say, oh, he's in a better place now. Oh, he's up there with the angels and all that. Oh, I'm gonna see you I'm gonna see you one day. We're gonna be up in there. You hear that bull crap? We have been totally fooled. Martin Luther King has totally destroyed us. I might not be reaching with you one day, but I have seen the mountaintop. You understand? That's probably about all he's seen is the mountaintop. Because he ain't seen no glory. He ain't seen no heaven. You understand?
Right.
Because he leading us away from heaven. Martin Luther King has led us astray. He has led us right into the arms of our oppressor. He had the power to build this nation and make this nation strong. He had many people following him who listened to him and have listened to him to this day. Think about this. Even children who were not even alive to see Martin Luther King or even hear some of his speeches believe in what he believed in today. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. It says, gather yourself together. If we had just gathered ourselves together, took our money, build our own businesses, build our own schools, build our own bus systems, build our own communities, and put together our own policing system, we'd be on top. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
History shows that. It already showed our power. We always see our power in spurts and sparks, but we never kick the flame in. You understand what I'm saying? We always see spitters and sparks. What do they call it? What's that? What's that when you see the stuff coming off the flames? A little, no, but what is it called when we say in the prayer? The little spatters of little sparks coming off. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's all we ever see. We never see the full flame. We never see the full flame. Why we never see the full flame? I mean, yeah, it burns out, true. But we never see a full flame because we don't follow the laws, statutes, and commandments that the Most High has given us. You understand what I'm saying? If we would follow the law, statutes, and commandments, we'd already be where we're supposed to be. If our people would come back under this Isupk, under Commanding General Yohana, we'd already be there. If we just read the scripture, it says the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's about coming together. That's what that is. That's what that means. That's what that entails. Coming together. When you come together, what happens when you come together? What are some of the things that happen? What are some of the things that happen when we come together?
Unity.
There you go. What else?
Protection.
There you go.
Brotherhood.
Exactly, right? Brotherhood. But more than that, in the Bible, when it says come together, when it tells us to come together, he wants us to be on one accord. You understand what I'm saying? Think about the conscious community. Think about the brothers that come together in the conscious community. They are not on one accord, right? This is why they continually go at each other. This is why they continually fall apart. You understand what I'm saying? You can come together in any faction, but if you're not on the same accord, it will never work. You understand what I'm saying? It will never work. When the Most High tells us to gather ourselves together, not only did he want us to come together, bring our resources together, but he wants us to be on one accord. There's only one place that you can be on one accord, and that's here in the Isupk under Commanding General Yohana.
Right.
It doesn't work other than that. You understand what I'm saying? We have this train has been chugging along since 1969 and has not stopped. The only thing it's doing is picking up speed. You understand what I'm saying? You feel me?
Right.
This is the only thing it's doing. This is the only group that is still together and is chugging along and is picking up speed. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying that people didn't leave here. Some people can't handle the truth. We see that on movies all the time, right? What that movie say? You can't handle the truth.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Some people can't handle the truth, but that does not stop this boat. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I said, the conscious community is shrinking. This ISUPK right here, this is not shrinking. This is growing.
Right.
I was listening to a couple of weeks ago when Commanding General Yohana said when he was in the school, he had 10 chairs and 5 of those chairs was filled. You understand what I'm saying? And 5 of those chairs was filled. You got way more than 10 chairs now, huh? It was only one school back then, right?
Right.
Look at it now.
Worldwide.
You understand? Worldwide, exactly. Let me ask you this, right? How many schools does the Kemetic community have? How many schools does, what's his name, Polite have? You understand what I'm saying? How many schools does all of these other factions have? You understand what I'm saying? Not a lot. We just chugging along right under the radar. You understand what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say under the radar so much so now. You know what I mean? All right, now, well, we can drop that because I think we made our point right there, right? I hope we did. I sure hope we did. Right? Let's go to Deuteronomy 14:2. Matter of fact, let's do this. Drop that, right? Let's go to Psalms 55 and 21. Psalms 55 and 21. Hey, Drake. Psalms 55. Okay, go ahead. Psalms 55, 20 and 21. Anybody there yet?
Yeah. Psalms 55, verse 20.
Hold on, let's make sure everybody got it. Everybody got it?
Come.
You got it, sis?
Yeah, sorry.
You got it?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Psalms 55, verse 20. He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
What does that mean? It says he had put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. What does that mean? He has put forth his hand as such as be at peace with him. He has put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. He has put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. He has put forth his hand.
He has stretched forth his hand. I'm saying,
He has put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. He has put forth his hand.
Your enemy, no matter how much you want to get along or try to be one with your enemy, there'll always be a war.
He has put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. Think about this. Think about the Native Indian. Think about that first Thanksgiving. He has put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. Meaning, our oppressor made over 177 treaties with the Native Indians, but broke each one of those treaties and made war with him. He had put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. He started wars with him. He made good with him, only to start wars with him to take what he had. He has put forth his hand at such that be at peace with him. This is the deceitfulness that our oppressor has. This is the deceitfulness that he has over us today. I heard Captain Tazariak ask a dude on the radio, right? On the radio show maybe 2 weeks ago. He asked him, he said, listen, he was giving them a couple of examples of how white people was destroying us. George Floyd thing, you know, the Ahmaud Arbery, that's his name, right? He was giving, believe he was giving them examples like that. He said, would you bring the oppressor into your group with you after that? And the dude said, I don't know. Because we are so torn. We are so captivated by our oppressor. We are so captivated and want to be along with them and want to get along with them. The oppressor makes you believe that he wants to get along with you, and as soon as you put your guards down, he brings war to you. He put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. That's basically what that means. He makes you comfortable. He gets you real comfortable. Just like he did the Native Indians. He got the Native Indians comfortable enough to bring them into the fold, and then destroyed him with the smallpox in the blankets, right? Couldn't really beat them. So what did he do? He destroyed the buffalo, his source of food, to weaken him. You understand what I'm saying? He put forth his hand as such that be at peace with him. He started war with him. Once he got you comfortable and got in and understood your weaknesses, and he started war with you. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, finish. Psalms 55 and 21.
Oh, damn, sweet. So
That was you?
Yeah.
You was looking over there in our war. I'm looking at that war too. I'm like, anybody you gonna do what? You know? What's up? Right, you know? You fooled me with that.
I know, I fooled myself. Psalms 55 and, well, finished 20. He has broken his covenant.
See that right there, right? It says he has broken his covenant. He had over 177 peace treaties with the Native Indians, and he broke every one of them. You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, finish.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter.
You hear that? It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. What does that sound like? The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. What does that remind you of?
A peace treaty.
A peace treaty, right? Let me ask you a question. What was the peace treaty that he made with the Negroes?
40 acres in the mule.
Say that again.
Freedom.
Give me another name. You want it.
Emancipation Proclamation.
There you go. Emancipation Proclamation. You understand? The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Listen, he said he's freeing the slaves of the South. The slaves of the South were freed, but he never freed the slaves in the North. Everybody thinks it was he freed all of the slaves, but he never freed all of the slaves. He only freed the slaves in the South. Why did he free the slaves in the South? Did somebody tell me that?
Break apart the southern part of the United, to break up the
You want it.
yeah,
Go ahead.
what's the word I'm looking for? Dang. Break up the damn.
You got it, sis?
Oh, I got it.
That's it?
What is it?
To break up the economy of the South.
Bam, there you go.
Okay.
Destroy the economy.
I couldn't even think of
Understand why? Why would you want to destroy the economy? Because the South was becoming richer than the North.
Right.
So they realized that the whole economy was that what?
The slaves.
Slave, but the whole economy was cotton, tobacco, sugar cane, and different things like that, resources, things that were,
Possible.
yeah, but what are those things called? What do we call it? Agricultural. Agricultural thing was heavy in the South. So what happened was because of the slaves, because they had the free labor from the slaves, all of this agriculture was making the South richer than the North. So they had to break all of that up, basically break all of that up. So they freed the slaves in the South and didn't free the slaves in the North. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. They make you think you free until you start reading the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment. And the 13th Amendment, what does it say in the 13th Amendment?
Slavery was ended with the exception of was it a felony, I believe, or permanent.
If you committed a crime.
Yeah, committed a crime.
Didn't even have to be a felony, it said if you committed a crime. So now, what do we have now? We have legalized slavery. That's the penal system. What you was talking about earlier now, Wolf? That penal system. It's legalized slavery. You feel me? So the words of his mouth were smoother than butter. Go ahead, finish it off.
His words in his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
But war was in his heart. Let me say something like this, right? Whenever your oppressor comes into your community and he talks about he's going to do something for you, the words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but war was always in his heart. When he comes into your community talking about he wants to do this, and that, he's definitely going to get something from you. You understand what I'm saying? Whether it be by choice or by force.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. What you got?
Nah, it's heavy what you bringing out because that's how they brought the lottery system to Maryland. That's how they did the casino.
You know, the lottery system started in Maryland in 1973.
And that was to fund for city schools.
Fund city schools, they always, and listen, every time, this is how they get out people, right? Every time they bring a new system in, something to get money or to make money, they always say, and part of this money is going towards the school system, right? They always say it's going towards school system. Right now, you got 2 and 3 schools all packed into one school. You got schools shutting down, right? It was the same thing with the Pimlico racetrack. Pimlico racetrack been there, if I'm not mistaken, it's been there since 1890. I know since the 60s, they say that the money and the revenue, some of the part of the revenue from the Pimlico racetrack was supposed to build up the Park Heights community. All of those businesses that used to be when in the 70s, when I was living on Park Heights, damn near every one of those businesses was a black-owned business except for Cinderella's.
Mm-hmm.
Cinderella's was a Jewish man's spot. It's still there today. You understand what I'm saying? They use those as props, and they always use the thing of a lot of this money going to go toward the school system because they know how important it is in the black community to have a good school system. We want the same school systems that we see in the counties and in all of the white rural areas. You understand? We want our school systems to be just like that. So what they do is they dangle the carrot and make you think that you can get this too. This can be you. You understand? You ever see one of those shows and the thing say, They always show you somebody with a stack of money and they always say, oh, this could be you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the dangling carrot. Because they know black people want money. They know we want good things. They know we want to find the things just like they got. So they dangle the carrot. This could be you. And then they pull it away just when you think you're going to get it. Hey, look, I'm going to tell you this. Let me tell you a story, right? Me and my kid's mother, your sister was only a year old then, right? We went to, they had up here at Emerson High School, they had a carnival up there.
Oh yeah, in
So
the
they
park.
had this little game up there where you had to get a certain amount of numbers and then you could win $100, right? So we kept trying to win this game and we was 2 numbers off, right? Oh, we got to give me another $20. Give me another $20. I think I lost about $350.
400.
400. Or it wasn't for that, you could have won the pot. That's what it was. It wasn't 400, but it was a pot. But it was like a little carnival.
Right.
And they had the little number game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And me and my kid's mother kept saying, we only 2 numbers away, 2 numbers away. Go get the rent money.
Dang.
You feel me?
Yeah.
Go get the rent money. Lord. Feel me? We lost Danny, I think it was like $350. You feel me? And we looking at each other like, yeah, you looking at her, and she got tears in the eyes and saying like, damn, babe, don't worry about it, you know? But it's the dangling carrot.
Mm-hmm.
Because they know what we want. They know the condition that we're in. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but words in their heart. Whenever they come into your community and they got a scheme for you to get money, it is never in your favor. The European, the oppressor, is never going to give you anything that's going to work in your favor. He is only there to destroy you. You understand what I'm saying? Our oppressor is only here to destroy us. It says the words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but words in his heart. This is just how he is. You understand what I'm saying? He is not here for our benefit. He is here to kill, crush, and destroy. Our people can't get it through. You understand? No matter how much of the truth we hear, we just can't get it through. And this is the reason why they can come and they can put 14 bullets into the back of an unarmed child. It's the reason why they can put their neck on a handcuffed, already apprehended brother and put a knee in the side of his neck and kill him. This is the reason why he can follow a Trayvon Martin down the street after he's been told not to follow him 3 different times and shoot and kill him and say what? I was using the stand my ground law. You understand what I'm saying? The words of his mouth are smoother than butter, but words in his heart. They are not here for our benefit. They are only here to destroy us. This is the reason why the Most High tells us, why gather yourself together, they gather yourself together, and they should not reside. Hey, give me Ecclesiastes. Give me Ecclesiastes 12 and 10. Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10.
You got it? You ready?
Got it, sis? Let it get it. You got it, great.
What was it?
Ecclesiasticus
I know. I got that one time I put chat.
12 and 10.
I'm on it.
What's the first word on it?
The preacher.
Ecclesiastes 12 and 10.
That's not it.
You said cuss.
Ecclesiasticus.
It's not apocrypha.
You might not got it.
Yeah, I was on the wrong one.
You got it?
No, I was on the wrong one.
Oh, okay.
12 and 10.
Got it? Yes, sir. All right. Go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus 12 and 10. Never trust thy enemy.
Say it again.
Never trust thy enemy.
One more time.
Never trust thy enemy.
It says, never trust thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy. Why can't you trust your enemy? Somebody tell me that. Why can't you trust your enemy?
Enemy for a reason.
Say it again.
I said, yeah, enemy for a reason.
Yeah, but why can't you trust him?
Not good to you.
Yeah, that's true. Why can't you trust him though?
He lies and he steals and he
Exactly.
tells false.
What else?
He's out to destroy you.
He's out to destroy you. What else? Because he does not have your best interest at hand. I mean, all of those answers are right. It's many answers with reasons of not trusting your enemy. You cannot trust your enemy because your enemy does not have your best interest at heart. Your enemy only thinks of himself. Your enemy only thinks to destroy you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Go ahead, finish that off.
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
If I'm not mistaken, now boy, you hit this last week, didn't you?
Come on.
It says, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Hey, listen, eventually, the true properties, just like you said last week, the true properties of iron, when it sits in the elements, will eventually show through. And just as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Eventually, after sitting around your enemy for a while, after his words are smoother than butter, rolls off of your back, and that war in his heart begins to show, so is iron rusted, so is his wickedness. His wickedness is eventually going to show through.
Right.
The true him is really going to show through. You understand what I'm saying? So is iron rusted, so is his wickedness. He can only hold that wickedness back but for so long, and eventually it's going to show through. You understand what I'm saying? Well, so is iron rusted, so is his wickedness. And with that, I'm going to turn the class over to Priest Officer Not to Zol. We're going to end it right here.
Security announcement. We at the Isupk coming out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Command Agent Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're here to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister have an interest in a particular person, then he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which a brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers chapters 18, verse 21, and Malachi chapter 3, 8 through 10, which means 10th in Hebrew. It's pronounced Ma'ashra. 10% of any penny increase the Lord gives you gives to the Treasury Department or teacher, priest fund, free offering. For priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you like to give. Upcoming holy events, we got the what is it?
Blowing on the trumpets.
Blowing of the trumpets. And we also still waiting around for the Passover. Check on your school for further details. Reminding the Akim and Aquathim to check on social media such as ISUBK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUBK events and material. If a brother wants to become a trooper in the school, and he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headbands, and scarf. And with that, we're going to give one courteous salute to the teacher. Ben Israel, Amaya Shabbat, Manu, Rock.
Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatah.
How about Shem Yahshua
Are you safe? All the safe face the sister. You want to give one courtesy salute to the sister. In Israel, my Shabbat, Manu, Rock.
Yahweh Shema Hashem Bashem Yahushua.
Got it.
Shalom, Yahweh, Shalom, Adonai, Hashem, Yahweh.
Got your time? Bless
I did it there. I get in there.
Good job.
I finally understand the Bakasham. That's how I learned. Because I was learning so. Look like he ready to head out. Yeah, I know I'm tired.
I was gonna rip his heart out. I'm the best ever. I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Links to the conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Danforth. There's no one that can match me.
No affiliation, why they thinking this ain't for debating? We the real, they really imitation. I be contemplating why this ain't no like heavy rotation on radio stations. I just pray the Lord give me patience, cause I'm running through these rappers like my name Walter Payton. Shitting on these rappers, 9 to 5 is my occupation. Wrong, you come in with your best troops, you best bring more. Already told you I got the juice like a Renthal. Already know what I'm about to do, bet your men fall. Everyone know that we got the truth, all your men fall. So boss, overtaking our enemies. Moves calculated and orchestrated like symphonies. Smooth operated, bringing haters to misery. Top 5 list ain't shit unless you mention me. Yeah, that's why we don't associate. Fuck niggas make them more fuck niggas. Why they procreate? Why they